So we've done words and spaces and punctuation. Now we're going to put words, spaces, and punctuation together to form sentences. Sentences are complete thoughts, and they're really the building blocks of the human language. So, just as mathematics represents the building blocks of the universe, sentences form the foundation of the English language. There you go. There's a great quote from Brian and a well-written sentence. So we're going to look at writing good sentences here in the next couple of lectures. In this lecture, you'll learn to write well-formed sentences. This is where grammar and syntax collide to produce beautiful prose. Here, then, are the rules for writing well-formed sentences. Now, keep in mind that I'm not going to bore you by going through all of the rules for writing sentences. There are a lot of them. I'm just going to give you the most common rules to get you going. Rule number 1, and you already know about this. The first word of a sentence begins with a capital letter. Sentences end with a full stop or terminator, such as a period, question mark, or exclamation mark. And here are examples. I went to the store, period. The I is capitalized and ends with a period. Yesterday was a good day for writing. Yesterday is capitalized and the sentence ends with an exclamation mark. Why are you asking me? Or why are you asking me that? Once again, it begins with a capital letter and ends with a question mark. Now, exceptions to this are that titles and bulleted items are usually not terminated. So notice the title up at the top, writing using sentences, rule number 1, it doesn't have a period at the end. And these bullet items don't either, but my examples do because they're examples of sentences. Now next, what I want to talk about is how to write complete sentences. To be a complete sentence, to be complete, a sentence must have a subject and a verb. A subject is a noun, a person, place, or thing about which you're writing. For example, you, me, him, Sarah, a book. The verb is the action being performed by the subject, such as walking, sitting, reading. These are examples of using complete sentences. Susie ran to the store. Susie is performing the action of running, and she actually has an object here, which is to the store. Susie ran very fast, and very fast describes how Susie ran. She arrived at the store in no time, and she arrived. This is an example of the use of the verb of being, am. I am Brian. So what am I doing? I am amming, meaning that I'm existing. I am Brian. The next rule is rule number 2 is being challenged. What about the sentence, stop, exclamation mark? That doesn't have a subject. It just has a verb. Well, in this instance, the subject you is implied, as is the object clause, what you're doing. So a more complete but less thrilling sentence might be, you, stop what you're doing. And here you're saying you and stop, and what you're doing is the object clause. Now note the reference to less thrilling, which is where you want to break the rules sometimes. Yelling out stop or halt is much more exciting than you, stop what you are doing, right? So short and pithy sometimes works, and you're not really breaking the rules, you're just implying you. Rule number 3, order your words correctly. The most common order for parts of a sentence is subject, verb, and object if present. The object is the receiver of the action. So examples would be Brian threw the ball. Brian is the subject, threw is the verb, and the ball is the object. Rule number 4, parts of speech, subject, verbs, and object aren't always single words. The subject, verb, and object in a sentence need not be single words. For example, the entire Bulldogs football team ran past and kicked the ball. So the subject here is the entire Bulldog football team. And what did they do? They ran past and kicked. And what was the object? The ball. Subject-verb agreement. This is very important, and it's one of those things that gets messed up a lot. Subjects and verbs must agree with one another in number by consistently being singular or plural. So here are examples of incorrect agreement. Brian are tall. The balls is round. The teachers writes every day. And examples of a correct agreement, if you wanted to correct these sentences, is Brian is tall. There's only one Brian, so you use the singular is instead of are. The balls are round. There are multiple balls, so you use the plural are. And the teachers write every day. Compound sentences are combined using commas and conjunctions. And a conjunction. Use the conjunction like and or to combine sentences, and use commas to combine more than two sentences. For example, I ran from the fire, and I didn't stop until I was clear of it. So here I'm combining two sentences. I ran from the fire. It could have been I ran from the fire, period. I didn't stop until I was clear of it. But we're combining these two sentences since they're closely related with the conjunction and. The next example, I ran, skipped, and jumped while having fun. Here we have three things that I'm doing, and I'm separating them with commas and a conjunction. Now, something that I need to talk about is the use of the Oxford comma. The Oxford comma comes before the and or in a list. I don't use the Oxford comma. It's optional in the Chicago style guide. It's actually mandatory in Strunk and White, so you get to decide if you want to use it or not. Here are examples of using the Oxford comma. I bought pizza, comma, a drink, comma, and potato chips. The party was slow, comma, quiet, comma, and boring. And here's examples of the same sentences without the Oxford comma. I bought pizza, comma, a drink, and potato chips. Notice no comma after the drink. The party was slow, comma, quiet, and boring. And again, no comma after quiet. It's up to you whether you use the Oxford comma or not. I just can't force myself to use it. It doesn't look right. You can also use commas or parentheses in technical writing to delimit parenthetical expressions. Parenthetical expressions or asides are these little asides. You almost hear like a pause, like your voice changes. Let me give you an example. Brian threw the ball, something he hadn't done in years, into the basket. So you get this little aside, and you set it aside with commas. The basket that should have been empty made a thrashing sound. So there's a little aside there. The basket that should have been empty made a thrashing sound. It could have just been the basket made a thrashing sound, but you've got this little aside in there, and that's a parenthetical expression. Sentence lead-ins. They're short introductions to the sentence set off by a comma. And here's some examples. At first, comma, Brian didn't know what was going on. Now this sentence could have just been, Brian didn't know what was going on. But we're actually augmenting it a little by saying at first. So that means that temporarily in the beginning, Brian didn't know what was going on. From the outset, the venture was doomed. And there's that comma again that sets off the lead-in. In his opinion, comma, it was a stupid question. And that's another example. Avoid run-on sentences, and here is one for you. A run-on sentence is one that goes on forever, seeming to conclude at some points, but then continuing like a runaway freight train without concern for the reader's ability to comprehend what's being said or to remain interested in the sentence, which needlessly rambles on for a ridiculous period of time until no one is reading anymore. Wow, that's a long sentence. Break up sentences like this into multiple sentences. So don't use conjunctions to join too many sentences and get it too long, or it'll turn into a run-on like this. Avoid passive voice. Now, this is something that I tend to do quite often, is use passive voice, and I need to work hard to avoid it. Grammarly and other grammar checkers will check for it and report on it. Even Word grammar checker will find these. Instead of using passive voice in which something is acted upon, try to use active voice in which something acts. Here's examples of passive voice. The ball was thrown by Brian. So the ball is being acted upon by and is being thrown. His words were spoken softly. So they were spoken. It's passive again. Examples of active voice would be Brian threw the ball, instead of the ball was thrown by Brian. Instead of his words were spoken softly, say he spoke softly. These are active sentences, and that's what you should try, is for active voice as opposed to passive voice in your sentences. And I believe this is the final rule that I'm going to give you. Use consistent tense when writing. If writing in the past, don't make the mistake of slipping into present tense. And here's examples of mixed tense. Brian ran before he walks. That should obviously be walked. Walks is present tense, and ran is past tense, and you're mixing them. So if you're going to write in past tense, which is the most common tense to write in, then it should be Brian ran before he walked. He spoke to the man but speaks quietly. Okay, that should be spoke again. So he spoke to the man but spoke quietly is what that should be. They should both be past tense. So maintain consistent tense. And that's all. That's all that I'm going to give you on sentences. In the next lecture, we're going to do the sentences workshop, where we're going to bring up the word editor, and I'm going to write sentences for you and give you examples of all of these things that we just covered. So I'll see you in that lecture.